Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wrestling with Life. I am Patrick Ream. I tried my best.
Why were you laughing during the Wrestling with Life part of the intro?
Because we were too busy having fun beforehand, and I couldn't contain myself.
Do it over again.
Yeah, come on, restart.
We're doing it fresh for everyone.
Yeah, from the top.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wrestling with Life. I'm Patrick Ream. Justin was very excited for that little pause in the intro. I'm joined by Justin Pusser and Adam Chandler. Gentlemen, how you guys been?
That was his 18th take of Wrestling with Life this
I will
morning.
play the other ones to prove it's not 18.
18 straight. You probably deleted the ones in between.
Yeah, that was 18.
We were keeping count over here.
Well, now I'm just gonna lose regardless, even if I did play the actual track.
You made him disappear. Very impressive.
I was trying to think of a Magic reference. I'm glad you beat me to it.
There we go. We got him.
Gentlemen, we're here to talk about best and worst road trips. I'm just gonna try to power through that. As voted upon by our fans, which was awesome. I appreciate the feedback. I'm sure you both appreciate the feedback we got on that.
How many votes did we get?
We got 17 votes.
Wow, there was more
17.
intros to Wrestling with Life this episode than there was votes.
This is for all 17 of our fans.
We do it for you. Who voted for favorite song? We need to know.
That doesn't tell me.
No, I'm saying someone needs to reach out to us. That's a bad topic, Pat. We talked about it prior. It's not a good one.
How many votes did we have? Like, how were they broken up?
It was like 8% for favorite song, 14ish% for Mother's and Mother's Day, and then everything else into best and worst road trip.
Yes.
So the clear front runner is best and worst road trip.
Which, to clarify, if we would have done Mother's Day, it would have came out 2 weeks after Mother's Day, right?
Yeah, but we'd be doing
I mean,
we'd be recording it. I would explain that
is
we'd
like
be
my
recording
issue.
it the day before Mother's Day.
No, but this is the same issue I take with Christmas. Like, you can't just extend it because you want to.
I want to know who the one jabroni was that voted for.
It was probably Pat.
I did.
He's like, we'll never know. I'll know who it is, man.
No, I didn't. I didn't vote at all because I felt it was inappropriate to vote on our own
Really?
topic.
I did.
Oh, I didn't either.
Oh, I did.
I just wanted to see how it all turned
Yeah,
out.
that's what I did. I was
Oh,
like, I'll
imagine
leave
if I was the... So there's 16 fans, but I'm a fan of our show as well.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad you like what we're doing.
I do.
So yes,
I wish we had a different host, Adam. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
But, I mean, when we have this live... Oh, my goodness. Listeners. Patapalooza 20's coming to a town near you.
Oh, yeah. We
Town near me.
discussed this.
Yeah, just say.
We're really thinking we want to do a live barbecue in Jamesburg, and the main attraction, of course, will be Pat's singing, karaoke, and Magic Palooza.
The underwhelming Patrick.
Ta-da!
It's going to be fantastic. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to speak this into existence. It's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
they're already trying to get me to learn magic tricks.
At
Like I
least
was
one.
explicitly told on the
We're
last
not
car
kidding,
ride
by
we
the
had
way.
together.
If you guys are like interested in Patapalooza 2020, like tweet about it.
Yeah, like if you guys have any interest at all in drinking beer and eating good food with us and laughing at Pat, by all means, join us. Patapalooza 20.
Well, we will actually get tweets back
We
for
honestly
that.
want to
I'm
do this.
talking
We want to be able to grow. We want to be able to meet all of our fan base. So we want to do like a live, I mean, unrecorded probably, but a live Q&A Wrestling with Life podcast, and we want you guys to bring all your family and friends and
not just new fans, like people we haven't seen in a while. I think
Yeah.
that's something great about this podcast, to be serious for a second. Like people like Craig Nash have reached out to me who I haven't seen in a long time. Dave Davis is always keeping up with us, like guys that we haven't seen in a while. So it would be kind of fun to get everybody together at Pat's expense.
yeah, we're only doing this in general because we want to invite you guys to hang out with us for an hour, every couple weeks.
This is what like we kind of got used to for a lot of our lives, I think, is catching up with our friends every Saturday. So like this is what we're keeping going, and like that would be really great if that was the end goal here in the finish line, so to speak. It's gonna happen.
I agree.
Pat's doing magic.
I was gonna say there's still no chance
While
I
he
get out of that.
sings. No, you're doing karaoke and magic.
I don't think I'm. I don't
It's
think
called
I'm that.
Patapalooza.
We're gonna have the exact posters from old school, like the Mitchellpalooza posters. And we're just gonna post a picture of Pat as a
Yeah,
magician all
that's
over town.
awesome.
Yeah. I'm so
Keith
excited.
loves old school.
Yes.
That might be his like favorite movie. Like when
that's
we
it.
used to hang out all the time at my place, and we'd be like, "Hey, what do you want to watch?" He'd be like, "Let's watch Old School." He thinks Will Ferrell is hilarious in that movie.
Me and Keith have that in common.
All right, well, keep that as a future save the date kind of thing for all you people. We'll
Yeah,
figure.
man, let's just talk about it. Let's come up with ideas. We want your ideas. You know, what do you want to see? What's worth your time and energy to come out for? Tell us. We'll make it happen.
It's gonna be a dunk tank.
As long as it's legal, we'll do it. If it's not legal, talk to me about it. We'll find a way.
Just specifically Justin, no one else.
I mean, you could talk to Adam about it. He might have some good ideas, honestly, too.
Yeah.
Just don't talk to Pat about it. He'll snitch on us.
Yeah, Pat will snitch. I can only talk so much. I have a child.
But I got you guys. All you delinquents, follow me.
Well, speaking of delinquents, let's talk about some of the worst road trips you guys have ever been on. Or would you want to start at best?
I mean, I feel like all road trips have good and bad in them, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely. I don't know if there is a worst road trip.
Yeah, right. Road trips are fun, man.
I know which one was probably Justin's least favorite.
He's not wrong about that.
It's the one. Okay, so to preface this, we used to work for. Not used to work. I'm sorry, that's a bad word. We used to volunteer for a wrestling company that had TV, and Justin even got a chance to wrestle for them a few times.
Oh yeah, I worked for him at times. Yeah,
I did not.
It's Ring of Honor. Yeah, whatever. I wrestled for Ring of Honor for a little bit. We traveled with him and we helped, and we were on the road with him. We were on the road with him for a year.
Yeah, for like a solid year, multiple states, multiple hours on the road. So this is a great topic. This might go a little long. Point
being, we spent a lot of time on the road together. Me and Adam have
So
been in a
much.
car. Like, I mean, there was stretches of time that we'll talk about where like 6-7 days straight away from home together. Like, this is why we consider each other family at times, especially the people you ride with in wrestling. Like, man, you spend a lot of time together.
Yeah.
for sure. A lot of hotel rooms. So I think Justin's least favorite is probably the time that we were on the road with a busted headlight, and Justin got a ticket in Virginia, which he had to go back for and pay for.
Yeah, we were driving to Ring of Honor in North Carolina and then to Atlanta, and it was the weekend of the Eagles Super Bowl parade. And for those of you who don't know, Brian Johnson was my tag partner for a long time when we worked at Ring of Honor. That's who was working with me, and Jasmine was our manager. So when we're telling these stories, those two names are going to come up a lot because they were in the car with us.
Yeah.
So we were driving down there, and we took Brian's car. He had a headlight out, and he was at the Eagles parade all day. So, when he got to me at night, we realized it was out. We were kind of fucked. It was midnight. We were leaving. We got pulled over, 20 minutes out, Adam? From my
20
house?
minutes out.
We got pulled over, and the guy let us go. He was real cool. He kind of gave us shit about drinking. He was like, were you guys at the parade today? I was like, no, one of us was, not the one driving. And we got out of there, and we were driving down to North Carolina. We were going down route, I believe it's 80 or 81, one of those main highways.
Yeah.
And we were in Virginia. And it was probably 3 a.m. There was no cars on the road. I was cruising. When we were in the car together, I tend to drive as much as I can because I'm very anxious. I've been in 6 car accidents in my life.
Jeez.
So I've been on the road a lot, but I've had some really scary ones that I'll get into. I might as well tell one story right now. Anyone that's been in a car with me has heard this. When I was going back from West Virginia in one of my first bookings, when I was about 18, 19 years old, I had my mom's car with me, and I was just going over the Susquehanna River. I was in the left lane. I had just gotten onto the bridge, and on the other side of the highway coming towards West Virginia, I saw a tire start wobbling off of a pickup truck. It took one bounce, second bounce, big bounce, went probably 15 feet in the air, landed. I slammed on my brakes because I could see it coming towards me. It landed right on the top left corner of the windshield of the car, right above where I was sitting in the driver's seat. Steve Off was sitting in the passenger seat, and the girl he was with at the time was in the back seat. Her name was Erin, and the windshield completely spidered. The tire bounced off the frame and went back into the other lane that it came from. And we had to sit there for probably 20 minutes because we couldn't open the left side of the car because I was against the median, and we couldn't open the right side because there was a middle lane and a right lane. Now people are swooping around us. So that was one of the worst trips. We actually had to push the car to a truck stop. I bought Gorilla Tape. I taped the windshield from the inside out so that when I drove faster than 50, it wouldn't break in. Got back to Rowan, where my girlfriend at the time, who I had just met, she's my wife now, left her sorority meeting and drove me home to meet. She met my mom for the first time that night. So like that was just a hell of a trip. So those kinds of things happen when you're on the road. I got sidetracked very, very hard there.
That's scary though.
No, yeah, that's awful.
I mean, I got into that. I mean, when I was a kid, my brother, I have a brother who's 2 years younger than me. He can't sleep in cars anymore because when we were probably like 10 and 12, my grandma was driving to Wildwood and we spun out on the parkway and landed in like the trees on the left. I was in the back of the station wagon, and if you've ever been in a station wagon, you have seats that kind of face out, like face the trunk.
Yeah.
I was sitting in those. My grandpa had crutches because he had one leg, and they were kind of sitting across me in the back seat, and they actually shattered both side windows, so that glass caved in where I was. And my buddy Doug wrecked his Camaro when we were in high school. I've been into an accident with him, so like I have bad luck in cars. So the point I was making before about why I drive a lot, like I used to drive a crash truck for like a shoot job.
Yeah.
Like I've driven a lot in my life, so I'm very comfortable, and I cannot deal with people driving at night who like can't stay awake, can't pay attention for whatever reason. Like I get incredibly anxious.
No, I get it.
So we were driving and we got pulled over at 3 a.m. in Dinwiddie, Virginia. And
I'm sorry, where?
Dinwiddie, Virginia. It's what you imagine. It's the most they chew on straw there. If you're from Dinwiddie, fuck you.
We didn't even know we were there. We were on a highway.
Yeah, like it was horrible.
You had to go back and go to their small backward ass town.
Yeah, so like
Taking a harsh stance on Dinwiddie, Virginia.
And the cop hands me a ticket, and it says court appearance required. And I'm like, yo, like I'm from New Jersey. I can't come all the way back here. This is 5.5 hours from home. Like, is there anything I can do to just pay this? And he's like, no, it's reckless driving in Virginia if you go over 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, and the judges down here want to see you because they take it very seriously. I'm like, all right, fine. So I left, and I didn't even think about it. We went to the venue. We went to Atlanta. The next day, I called the court, and I was like, hey, is there anything I can do? They said, no, the judge is very strict. He wants to see you.
Yeah.
So I called my buddy Angelo even, and I was like, is there anything I can do? Because he's a police officer in New Jersey. Yeah. He contacted the officer in Virginia that wrote me the ticket, and he even said, he's like, there's nothing I can do. So my wife had to take off work because we looked into this. I spoke to Mick Drake, who's a professional wrestler that worked at OTW, and he's actually a lawyer. And in the state of Virginia, they give jail time to people who have reckless driving charges. Like, you can do a day for every mile an hour over the speed limit you were breaking. Well, they said I was going 97 and 80. So that's 17 days. That's 2 weeks in jail.
Yeah.
So my wife had to take off work. We had a hotel room on a Wednesday so we can get to court at 8 a.m. on a Thursday. I had a lawyer. I had Brian. Brian calibrated his speedometer to make sure that what I saw was accurate to what was written. Yeah. Because the police officer wrote the ticket paced, not radar, meaning he was going the same speed. He didn't use a radar gun. So I tried making the case when I got to court. Brian's speedometer was off by 2 miles an hour. Yeah. So I tried making the case with my lawyer that if we didn't know how fast we were going, how can we possibly know that the police officer's car was also calibrated correctly since he wasn't using radar?
Yeah.
She said it was a hard case to make, so we kind of just went into it. And the reason I didn't get jail time, according to the judge, now, of course, they're going to say whatever they're going to say to make you feel however they want you to feel. But he said, since I drive so much every weekend, having a clean record meant more. So he wasn't going to, this was a first offense for me, so he wasn't going to do that. But I had to pay, I don't know, Adam, what was it, about $600? Everyone split the cost. That's one thing. Me, Jasmine, Brian, and Adam all split the cost of the ticket because I just happened to be the person driving the car.
Yeah.
It could have been any of us. But I can't even drive for like Uber at this time because I have a reckless driving on my record from Virginia.
Where like the ticket, that goes back to that whole family thing. Like,
yeah, man, like everyone felt bad, and like honestly, like I don't mind like if one of us had to go down to Virginia, like I'm the only one of us that like my job was wrestling at the time.
Yeah,
like that's what I was making my money off of. So like I had the time compared to everyone else, and everyone did their best. Like I said, Brian, you know, he got anything I needed done with his car done. Everyone chipped in for the ticket, so I wasn't like hurting there. Yeah. But to your good and bad point, on that drive home, I got a call from Brian that me and him were working Hammerstein Ballroom 2 days later. And that was the first time I was ever working New York City. And I'm a kid from like central North Jersey. So like for me, I went from thinking literally in a 48-hour window, like shit, I might be going to jail to hey man, you're working Hammerstein Ballroom and opening on Friday. Like, that's a roller coaster ride. If I've ever been on one. So that, I mean, yeah, that's definitely my worst. Probably is going through that, only because like my wife missed 2 days of like a day and a half of work because of that. You know, like that sucks. That because of, I mean, in New Jersey, I wouldn't even have a reckless driving.
No, you would have just.
I would have just been a speeding ticket and like a fine. But yeah, if you're ever driving through Virginia or North Carolina, man, really watch your speed because they're power crazy down there when it comes to that. It's really, really bad.
Well, that doesn't sound fun. It's more the back end of it that really made it the worst part.
Oh my God! And when we drove to Dinwiddie, and Adam was commenting, me and my wife, there was houses that were collapsing into themselves. There was like just sewage, and then like you pull up to the courthouse, and it's like the nicest building I've ever laid eyes on, and that's when I realized like, oh, you guys are all just fucking running a racket down here, making all these poor ass people pay for your dumb speeding tickets. They wouldn't let my wife bring in her umbrella that was pouring rain out because of their metal detector. Like, no, it can't be in here. It's a fucking umbrella. What have you've been watching Batman too much? There's not a gun in here.
I love it.
Fuck. I'm not the Penguin.
I love it.
Wish I was.
Absolutely love it. Casting for the next role. Everyone is looking for it.
What about you guys? You guys got any like really bad road trips? Because there's a lot of variables that can make a bad road trip. Like a bad partner on the road trip can be like a nightmare person if you have like someone who's a...
It's not a bad road trip story, but it's a funny one. So one time we did Massachusetts. That was the time that you were going to Detroit and waiting it out for everybody else when they went to Canada for that tour.
Right.
And I went with Eddie Hawkins and Tyler to Massachusetts because I could only make the one day, and then I had to work the rest of the time. I had to go to work for the other days of the tour. So we drove up to Massachusetts, and I drove the whole way up. And I drove the whole way up because my idea was I drive the whole way up. You two guys have to drive me home and figure it out. I don't care. Except that Eddie Hawkins started the drive home, and I don't think he slept on the way up. Like, Tyler slept on the way up, and I was okay with this. Like,
he understood that he had to drive home.
Nope, he's driving home, so I don't give a shit if he wants to fall asleep in the back right now, because I got this. So, and we left at, like, 2 or 3 in the morning to get there. Yeah. So we drove. Ring crew takes ridiculously long that time. That's the time that we had to, like, wait for the stage to come down.
Yeah, something to comment on, like, to what you're saying. Like, when you do these trips, like, you leave at ungodly hours because you have to go kind of far. So like when you're going to Massachusetts and your call time's 8:00 and you're not going to stay the night over because you're trying to save money on a hotel, you have to leave at 2 a.m. to get to Boston by 8 a.m.
Yeah, and there's like times we're getting like 3 hours of sleep maybe on these tours.
We'll break that down in its own section, but continue your story.
I think my favorite's probably the War of the Worlds. Which is all culminates with the Chicago trip.
Yeah, we're gonna.
So we'll get to that. That one specifically, 3 hours a night, maybe.
Yeah, but that's a best trip for me.
Yeah, that's a good trip.
But Eddie started driving, and I can already tell that's not a good thing.
And I was going to sleep, and then like I would keep waking up because I could feel us swerving. So like I barely get any sleep on the way home because I'm freaking out. Like, I'm just like, yeah, you good? Good. Okay. And then halfway through, Ty finally, like, just straight up was just like, Eddie, I'm just going to take over. Because he was like, he was saying he was good, but he was, like, kind of falling asleep. So he'd, like, swerve a little bit and all this stuff. And so that was scary for me. And then it started raining, like, downpouring while Ty was speeding home. Like, speeding. And I'm just like, Ty, like...
Pump the brakes.
Fine. So I'm like, oh man. So I keep waking up in the backseat. I'm not even getting any sleep. And then we get pulled over like right before we get to the exit from my house. But here's why Ty was speeding, and I didn't realize this the whole time. His stepdad's a cop.
Okay.
So we had the card gimmick. So the guy pulls him over. He pulls the card gimmick. He's like, oh yeah, my stepdad or whoever is a police officer. Gives him the information, and the guy's like, all right, just slow down next time. I'm like, let's just go. And I'm like, that's why this motherfucker's just speeding. He's just like,
So Ty's probably listening to this, and this happened this past weekend. We did a show in Maryland. It was just me, Adam, and Ty. and this speaks to my anxiety when I'm driving. Every single red light Ty saw, I told him from a distance, Ty, that light's fucking red. Ty, you better stop. That light's fucking red.
He did do that.
It was every light. And I'm not exaggerating. It was, if it wasn't every light, I accidentally missed one. Yeah, like it was, I can't deal with it. Yeah, fuck. If you're a rumble strips driver too, like we've been in cars with those, like,
man,
it's fucking pointless. You can't sleep. Like if your point is that you want people in the back to sleep, so you'll drive, and then you hit the rumble strips every 20 seconds. Yeah. Guess what's not happening in the back seat?
No one's sleeping.
Yeah, that's horrible.
You are pretty good with me when I'm driving.
Yeah, I mean, I can sleep depending on who's driving. Dave Davis, if you're listening, he stops in the middle of the road to turn around sometimes. And, like, I'm going to try to say this without incriminating ourselves too much. Sometimes what we're doing in the car, you're not supposed to be doing in a car. And when you draw attention to yourself like that, it's risky business, Dave. So
when it said I saw the title for like best and worst road trips, the first thing I thought of was driving in a car with Dave.
And he retweeted and liked it, so thank you for that. But like Dave, he has a nice car. I love his car. He's got nice tinted windows, keeps it cool.
But he also gets really mad.
Yeah, and Dave's Dave's a fast driver. He's it's an entertaining trip. You're not bored. But Dave's also, you know what Dave is good for, though?
What?
Dave's a good person if it was like me, you, and him to just listen to music and not talk much.
Oh, yeah.
Like sometimes those trips are kind of nice, and Dave has a decent taste in music, so I'll give him that. Yeah, so what about you, Pat? Pat only drives like fairly locally when me and Adam go. So like, Pat, you really haven't done many of the long trips with us, really.
No, I haven't done many of the long trips with you guys.
Do you have any like trips that maybe you remember from wrestling with us, or are your road trips more just like from your life?
Some of them are from my life. I will say that I have also driven in the car with Dave Davis one time, and that has remained the only time.
Is our description accurate?
It's fairly accurate, yes.
Okay.
Although I don't think he dramatically stopped in the middle of the road and took a big turn.
This is the thing. Dave used to drive me, Eddie, him, and Jasmine to some of the first Pro Wrestling Magic shows. Like their first 6 shows we were all on. But they're in these like North Jersey's very like boxy, it's very city like. So if Dave misses a turn and it's a one-way street and he knows he just missed it, he doesn't mind just turning around and going back to it. But like I said, when you're doing things in a car you maybe shouldn't be doing in a car, and then you turn around in a one-way. If there's a cop in the vicinity, you're really running some risk.
You're right on the radar.
Yeah. Unnecessary risk.
But I don't think collectively the three of us ever had a bad road trip. I don't remember anything. I enjoy every...
Not for you.
Thanks.
Pat eats when he drives, and it drives me and Adam nuts. We were talking about this. He gets whole sandwiches from Wawa.
But no. Get this. Like, we'll go to Wawa on the way there, and he'll get 2 sandwiches, so he makes sure that he can have one on the way up and then one on the way back.
Yeah.
And I offer to drive up.
Think about this, guys. No one else is eating on the way back. Like, we could stop if we want, but, like, no one else just brought food. This dude starts driving, and while he's driving, just starts opening up the sandwich.
And he's the only one eating, so, like... Pat, any one of us can just drive. Like, I offer to drive up, and Pat eats his sandwich, and then, like, I'm like, in my head, I assume, all right, well, he ate on the way up. I drove up. He'll drive home safely. No. Sandwich in hand. So
I do it on a regular basis for work. So
but that doesn't make it safer.
I'm just saying at least there's like some credentials behind it.
Also, do you have some like ridiculous metabolism where you need to like...
Yeah, like you're so skinny.
I do have a very fast metabolism. It's actually worked against me in a way because I've tried genuinely like 3 or 4 times to like really try to put muscle on. And my body just burns through everything.
Guys, can we like imagine that picture of like Pat in the gym, like trying like real hard?
Pat, for our listeners, let's call it the Wednesday after this releases.
Yeah.
Can you post a picture of you in wrestling gear?
You mean like get in my wrestling gear and take a current picture?
No. Like I'm sure you have pictures of you in wrestling gear from a couple shows, right?
I do, yeah.
We need to see them. In, like Andy's blue gear.
Yes, that's what I'm picturing.
You don't want to see the gold singlet?
I want to see the gold singlet. Yeah, you know what? Share a side by side of both, please.
That was when I was still.
Do it for our fans. Do it for the Patapalooza people.
I'm at least over 200 now. Back then, when I wore the gold singlet, I was 175, but the same height. So if you think I look skinny now at 203 or whatever I am,
yeah, man, you
must have been way worse.
We're gonna have to see that. So what's your worst road trip then, Pat?
My worst overall road trip.
And what made it bad?
I don't know.
Dead air is horrible.
I know. I'm sorry, but I'm kind of like you guys. I don't know if I have a worst road trip.
Who's the worst person you could go on a road trip with? Let's say that.
Worst person I could go on a road trip with.
Like in your life, who's the one where you're like, fuck, they're coming?
Oh God. Okay, so I have my friend Lon. I love him to death. He's honestly like one of my best friends since like 6th grade. I don't think any road trip with him would be like good. Like I've never had a road trip with him, but I assume it would be awful.
Oh man, damn.
Wow. I know. I'm sorry.
I wouldn't have answered that because I was like, no matter what, it was going to be a bad answer. Cause
oh no, because you're singling out
someone on a negative light, but you're just a piece of shit, so you don't mind.
Not only that, but he singled out his quote unquote one of his best friends.
Yeah,
that's probably the one person who will be like, it's fine. You know, like
this is a strategic pick.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Little do you know, like Lon's just like in a corner after this, just like all I wanted to do was take a trip with that.
He was about to send you an itinerary.
Chicago, yeah.
So
Lon, if you're listening, I'm sorry, man.
Let's not fall too far off the rails, Pat. What do we got?
Well, you guys hit some of the worst stuff, but I'd like to hear some of your better trips.
Man, I'm a big traveler. Like I like it a lot. I was saying to Adam on the way over, like me and my wife go a lot of places, and like we try to go like away for our anniversaries. We'll drive to we've done Boston, Baltimore, the Poconos is one that we do. When I was 18, when I first got the call from Matt, me and Angelo went out to Chicago. We drove 13 hours, like, together, just the two of us, which was a blast. But, I mean, the bulk of my good road trips were road trips on the road with, like, Adam and Brian and Jasmine and kind of, especially that Ring of Honor time of our lives. Like, I felt like every month we were doing a 4, 5, 6 day trip away from home. And like Adam said, they look long, so, like, we can talk about specifically you want to talk about the War of the Worlds?
Yeah, I want to talk about War of the Worlds because I think that one's probably my favorite of the Ring of Honor loop.
Mine as well, especially for a long trip.
Because there's a lot of pieces to it.
This is like one of those ones that like really kind of is a microcosm of what it's like on the road because so many things happened because it was a nice long trip.
And it was like a good definition of like all of our friendship at that time.
Yes. Big time. So, like, I was talking about this because my wife brought this trip up, and I'll explain why towards the end. But before I left for this trip, I did not want to go at all.
Yeah, the loop was, we'll get that out of the way. The loop was Buffalo to Pittsburgh to Ohio to Chicago, and we all agreed that at Ohio we would just go home.
Yes, because Buffalo was on a Thursday night.
Sunday,
yeah.
Friday night was Pittsburgh. Saturday night was Columbus. Sunday night was iPay-per-view in Chicago. Adam, Jasmine, and Brian all had work on Monday, so if we would have stayed in Chicago, we wouldn't have left Chicago until 2 a.m. Monday morning. It's a 13-hour drive home. They would have never made it home for work.
Yeah.
We're already taking off Thursday and Friday for this.
So. Yes, and you're leaving Wednesday at 2 a.m. to get to Buffalo by like 8, 9 a.m.
And three of us aren't making any money off this trip.
At this time, I did not think I would be making a penny on this trip.
Yeah.
On Wednesday before I left, I get anytime before I leave, and I don't know if this is the same for you, Adam, but to speak very candidly about it, like I get anxious. Like I'm going to be away from home for a lot of days. You know, if anything happens, I'm beat. Like I can't come back.
Yeah.
So I get a little tense, and I said to my wife, I'm like, there's really no logical reason for me to be there. Like I wanted, at the time we were going because we were hoping to get dark match work and get a chance, an opportunity to show what we can do.
And to like spread some light on this too, usually the whole idea behind volunteering is that, you know, you volunteer, they notice you work, and then, you know, maybe they give you a shot. Typically people do this close to home. We're deciding that we're going to go hours and hours and hours away.
Yeah,
just for a shot.
Yeah.
When you do these Ring of Honor camps, and I don't know because they've changed since I did them. They've changed locations and trainers and philosophy and everything. Yeah. But at the time, it was that you did the camps, and the next step would be to show up to volunteer with ring crew, production, anything you can to help basically the team. Yeah. And then from there, they would have opportunity as it arises, whether that be extra work, dark matches. A lot of people, if you do ring crew, get extra work.
Yeah.
I mean, we got extra work a lot when we were at Ring of Honor, but
to the point
that wasn't
where we
our
started avoiding it towards the end.
Yeah, like, but that wasn't our end goal.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So when we were going to this trip, I had said to my wife I had already done extra work about 2 or 3 times, and I was like, this was a joint tour with New Japan. It was the first time Kenny Omega was defending the IWGP Championship in the United States. It was packed. All of the crowds were
Yeah,
were
the tour was sold
big.
out. Once they announced him, the tour was sold out like immediately.
Yeah.
And I said to my wife, I was like, there's no shot I'm getting work other than extra work at most on this tour. But I went because that's what you do. Like, that's what you do. You just go and you know, you soldier through and you hope. You keep that belief and that faith that you will. And it's funny, as we were planning for this entire trip, I was busting Brian and Jasmine's and Adam's balls that we have to go to Chicago because we're booked. We're booked for the pay-per-view. I kept saying, I'm like, no, we're booked for the pay-per-view. We're gonna have
a joke.
Like obviously, we had not gotten booked at this time at all.
Yeah.
I had only done 1 camp. Adam had done probably 2.
1.
1 at the time, and Brian had done probably 2 or 3 at that point. At least 3. Jasmine had done the same one I did because we went with Brian as a team.
Yeah.
And like I was joking. There was no chance on a joint New Japan and Ring of Honor pay-per-view card they were going to use one mean team who had never been seen by them before.
But you know, the mentality here for all of us is all at the time, all for one, one for all. We're all in this together.
Yeah.
We were family, and our family was going to be there somehow, some way.
Yeah.
And so we went out on the Wednesday night. We went to Buffalo, and in Buffalo, it was really crowded. Yeah.
So we got a van. They provided a van for us.
Yes, that was awesome. And we took Mark with us, right?
We took Mark with us, one of the dojo
Mark
kids.
was one of Berger's students at the time at the dojo. Really good kid, green as goose shit, brand new to the business.
So to start the trip...
he's getting in the car with us to start.
I think I start the drive. It's an 8-hour drive overnight. So we leave at like midnight to get to Buffalo.
Yep.
So we do the drive. Once we get to the hotel, we could sleep for a couple hours, but Brian wants to hit the gym. So again, like that's why I want to tell this from the start. Because this is all like a good view.
Yes.
Of, like
chronologically, we will both chime in as we want to speak about those parts. This is our favorite
all
trip.
A good example of just our friendship at the time and how it worked.
And this is what the fans wanted.
Brian wants to hit the gym, and he knows I'm a gym guy. I'll go with him. So Brian and I decide instead of going to sleep, fuck it, we're road warriors. We're going to the gym.
Justin's already perked up.
And to chime in to tell you where I'm at this point, we just got in, and Jasmine's like always like dead against this. Like, I'm not going to the gym, and I'm tired. I'm a normal human. Listen, guys, I've always known my body isn't what gets me through at wrestling. If I go to the gym today, it ain't gonna really show tomorrow, so I could sleep right now. And when Jasmine chooses that, it kind of puts me in a weird spot because I'm like, shit, they're both going. I know I should, but I'm going to bed. And so that was my choice. So they leave.
So we find a local gym, a small local gym, and we lie ourselves into working out there for free.
Nice.
Yeah, what did you,
well, this was going back, so the last trip I think we did before that, we did a Massachusetts trip, and it was like a 2-day trip, and we went to the gym in Massachusetts, and we told them we were about to pay for a
day pass,
and then I decided to say, oh yeah, well we're here with Ring of Honor, we're helping out, we're working with the show, we're wrestlers, blah blah, and they go, oh yeah, a couple of your guys are here. It was like Christopher Daniels and Kazarian.
Yeah.
So they let us in for free.
Nice.
And then Brian and I just worked out, and then we saw Daniels and Kaz there, which was cool. They said hi to us, which was cool, and then the staff there wanted to take a picture with Brian and I because they didn't think we were just like helping out. They thought we were Ring of Honor wrestlers.
To be fair, looking at you,
But that's so, like, that's great. That just goes to show a lack of awareness of, like, people that don't know wrestling. That's great.
So when we get to Buffalo, we think we could kind of get away with the same thing. These people don't really know what Ring of Honor is at all. But Brian decides to spit the line that, our production people called ahead and said, looking for places for us to work out. And said, this is one of the places we could work out. So they take our bluff and they let us work out. Well, there's a lot of older people working there because, like I said, this is a smaller gym and it's like maybe 8 in the morning, so it's just old people. And then Brian and I have this shirt on. I'm looking jacked.
I believe it.
In a gym full of like no jack people. So the manager gets there, probably sees us working out, and is just like, "Who are these two guys?" And then they tell him. So then he comes up to us and then calls the bluff, and is like, "Hey, no one ever called here." Blah blah blah. And then Brian, Brian's really good with words, so oh, I'm sorry. Like I thought they said they called here. Blah blah. And then the guy tells him, "Oh, well, no, it's fine. You guys are working out here. Just like call us next time. We can like cross promote or something." So he wanted to get like some kind of cross promotion out of it. Little does he know, we have zero pull, at all. Negative. We have negative pull.
If anything, like they're gonna just tell us to stop going if they find out we're ruining things. Like this.
So we finish our workout. We head back to the hotel where I think we got the free breakfast there.
Yeah, so we get to Buffalo. I remember seeing Minoru Suzuki and Kenny in like the breakfast area, and I was like, oh, okay, so this is definitely where everyone's staying. And then we did Buffalo, and I remember Buffalo specifically was like super crowded. Like they added a dark match.
Yes, that was a really cool venue too. It
was like a bar type venue.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But it was like probably like a 2,000, 3,000 seat. Like it was probably 1,500 maybe.
Yeah, and then they had the balcony area stuff too. That was cool.
And there was like a bar that you can get drinks from and walk to the balcony to watch the show. Yeah. But them adding a second dark match because of how crowded it was is important. So the lines for the Bullet Club at this time, this is October 2017. So Bullet Club's at their peak. Like Kenny just won the U.S. title. Everyone's on fire.
Oh, this is Buffalo, right?
Right. So we are in Buffalo. The lines for everyone is so long.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I wish everyone could see how happy you are. Both are telling.
Oh no, there's another story.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. This is one of our favorite road trips, and this is what. This was our first like exposure to like being on the road and like really being on the road. Like when you do local shows, man, you could drive to Hazleton or you can drive to, North Jersey or even Philly, Delaware. But like to go to Michigan, to go to Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Chicago, like that's really being out there.
Yeah. And again, like we're doing ring crews, so no sleep for us. Like if you're a wrestler, you get to show up at 2 and you leave after the show's done. We're there at like 10 a.m., maybe earlier.
Nah, it's just true rock star lifestyle.
Yeah, we're not leaving until like 2 a.m.
I did Hammerstein the third time you guys were there with you guys? Second or third time?
Second, yeah. And but anyway, so in Buffalo, like I said, they added the second dark match because they needed to create time because of how many people were buying the meet and greets with the Bullet Club and others at that time. We ran. Someone grabbed us?
Someone grabbed us and said, "The Bucks need someone to go get something."
Energy drinks and snacks was what we were told. That's what we were told. Energy drinks and snacks. So we walked up to them.
Yeah.
And they looked at Adam and said, get us energy drinks. They said we want I forget what flavors they were, but they wanted specific flavors
pink
of
lemonade, Monster, Rehab, but we couldn't find it.
And then I guess Matt looked up at Adam and said, and get us like protein bars or some stuff like you guys know what to get. And like I was like, probably just have him pick. I don't think you want the snacks I'm gonna get.
I think the words he said was because they brought us to this. They said, "Can you get us some like protein snacks?" I said, "All right, anything in particular?" He was like, anything that you would normally get. Just me.
yeah.
And then Justin was just like,
it's a good call.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good call, man. I wouldn't get what I get either. So we did that in Buffalo, and the show went well. It was fun.
Yeah, it was a good show.
And I remember when we were packing up that show and getting ready to like leave, Shaheem Ali, who I met back in West Virginia when I was doing those shows, like when the tire went through my windshield is when I first met Shaheem. I was 18. He's working with Ring of Honor. He's in a tag team called Coast to Coast with LSG. Mm-hmm. He came up to me and he said, tomorrow night, it's one mean team versus Coast to Coast. And I went, all right, Shaheem. Like, people say shit all the time.
Yeah.
And especially, like, Shaheem would always be one that's, like, cracking jokes and making ribs and this, that, the other thing. So, like, I was like, all right, cool, like, whatever. And I mentioned it to Brian in passing. I was like, did you hear anything? Because, like, Shaheem keeps telling me we're working tomorrow. And I know they did add a dark match to the Buffalo show. So if they're adding a dark match to all of these shows on this tour, someone has to work them.
Yeah.
And Coast to Coast worked the dark in Buffalo that day.
Against the Dogs.
Yeah.
And the dogs are Will Ferrara and Rhett Titus, and like I said, I already knew Shaheem. Like, those were people that, like, we spent a lot of our time with, because they rode with a lot of the ring crew, like, people. Like, they were a part of that traveling crew. So we did Buffalo, we drove. So again, to give you an idea of what it looks like, we left at 2 a.m. on Wednesday. We got to Buffalo, or on Thursday morning, after Wednesday night, rather. We got to Buffalo at 8 a.m. Thursday. We set up for the show until about 1 when the roster reports. We grab lunch, we come back. We're there as extras, we're there as runners, we're there as, I sit in Gorilla, we're in Gorilla, we're there to do whatever we can. Then the show ends at midnight. Then we have to break everything down and pack all 3 trucks. Production, ring, and then there's like another truck that also is production, but a lot of shit goes on. Pack all 3 of them. That takes till about 2:30. Then we have to drive to Pittsburgh. We get to Pittsburgh. It's about 6, 7 in the morning. We could sleep for about 2 hours, but call time's 9, 10 o'clock. So that's what your sleeping is. You get to sleep on a hotel floor from 7 to 9, 9:30. Get dressed. If you want to shower, you better get up at 8:30. That's what it looks like. So then we do Pittsburgh.
So Pittsburgh, I don't remember if we even got a hotel this time, because I think it was one of those things where we kind of just, by the time we got there, maybe we did get a hotel. But I remember we went to breakfast at a little spot.
Yeah, there was a little diner right by the venue. The venue in Pittsburgh is right next to PNC Park and Heinz Field, like all of the athletic area down there. All the.
It wasn't next to the venue actually. It was it was awful ways.
It was a couple blocks from the venue.
Very small, very kind of rundown diner.
One of those Tammy Cindy ones.
That's the place America runs off of.
It was very, very. It was nice because we got there at about 8. And we had about an hour before the truck was going to be there.
Yeah, and then,
so we did that.
Then we unload at Pittsburgh. And then I don't remember much else. I'll let you take over that one.
Yeah, so Pittsburgh was, we get there and we started setting up and it got to be about 12, 1 o'clock. And Shaheem said to me again, one mean team coast to coast, and he kept saying it. And so I'm like, all right, whatever. I started to really think maybe something's happening. I don't get why he keeps on this.
Yeah.
Mind you, I didn't even want to come on the strip. I thought there was no chance. So then Brian goes to the gym and for whatever reason that day, I'm like, you know what, man, I'm going to go with him because if I don't go, we're going to get this match and I'm going to look way worse than I need to. So I went and I did chest with Adam. I remember this because I was so fucking sore later on. And I did chest with Adam. And I think even Jasmine went. Jasmine went to the gym with us there.
If that's the trip where it's just the 2 of you, I don't think Brian shows up. But that's not the trip because I thought we just did arms that day.
Maybe, but it's the 3 of us.
With Jasmine, we just do arms.
You're right. That's a separate trip probably then. But so I go to the gym with Adam. I remember doing chest specifically because I was lit up. And while we were leaving the gym, I remember getting the call from Berger saying, "Hey, you guys got to get back. It's you guys in Coast to Coast in the dark." Oh shit! I'm gonna be wrestling for Ring of Honor now. This is why I came. This is cool, but this is happening right now. Okay, cool. Didn't sleep. All right, wonderful. So we go. Me and Brian and Jazz start getting our gear on, and we got together with Coast to Coast, which was awesome. It was so cyclical for me because I wrestled Shaheem down in West Virginia when I was first getting started, and here I am on. At the time, honestly, they were probably this second hottest company in the world, especially on a joint show with New Japan. It's indisputable. New Japan would be the second, if not them. So we had the dark match. It went well, pretty well. Not too many hiccups, honestly.
I took so many photos.
Yeah, I was gonna say Adam was the best. Not even just the photos. Adam had our shit out on social media real time.
I remember that's how I found out you were Snapchatting about it,
which was awesome because I got to call my mom and my wife and I was like, hey, I'm wrestling tonight. I'll call you guys afterwards. I don't know anything else, and that was it. And so, we got changed. Everyone in the locker room at Ring of Honor that we encountered, especially when we were, in the locker room, was pretty cool to us. They would always, hey, you can sit here. No one was a dick about taking up people's spaces or anything.
Yeah.
So we had our match. It was good. And we started to break down the ring. And I didn't see Brian for a while when we were breaking the ring down. And partway through breaking the ring down, I saw Will Ferrara, and he grabbed me and said, hey, come with me. So I went to the back of the building with him, and Brian was out there. And it was just the 3 of us. And he goes, we sat down, and he goes, It's gonna be you guys and us on pay-per-view in Chicago.
Dark match of the pay-per-view.
Yeah, dark match.
Yeah.
But in Chicago for the pay-per-view. And he's like, this is a new venue for us. Like, we're going to be the first match in the Odeum for this. It's going to be cool. And Brian's like, yeah.
6,000?
It was about, I think 6,000. And Brian's like, yeah, we're not going to Chicago. Well, like, we're going home after Columbus. Like, this. And Brian thought he was fucking with him. And he's like, no, wait, like, are you really going home? Because Delirious, who was the booker at the time, Hunter, he's got you guys penciled in for the dark against us. Like, we have to work somebody in the dark, and it's you guys. He liked your guys' look tonight. You guys did well. Like, you're here. Like, he wants to use you guys. So now I'm like, oh, shit. Like, what the fuck? And I first thing I said was, I told you we were going to be on the fucking pay-per-view, Brian. I've been telling you for months. No one wanted to listen to me. I'm always right. So that was what we were told. And then we were like, all right, well, we got to come up with a plan because we can't say no. But Adam still has to go home. So we left Pittsburgh with that in mind, heading to Columbus. And so we get to Columbus. We get to the hotel. And I called my wife when we got, so we kind of just had the morning. Nothing really happened in the morning. We didn't look for your flights yet or anything. No. But then we got.
Well, we still weren't sure how this was going to go. Like
we wanted to confirm with Hunter that we were booked because that was the thing. We heard it from Will, and in wrestling, like,
and it wasn't
a lot of things change.
And it wasn't that I wasn't trying to be a team player. It was just
no, you had to go home from work.
At work, and it was just one of those things. Like, I don't know. That's not a really good excuse to tell work what call out, especially when I took.
You're not the one that was going to be. Yeah, so like he had to go. This is like it really wasn't an argument. It's just we had one rental van. So Adam couldn't take the van home if we were going to stay.
Yeah.
And so the first thing we wanted to do was confirm that we were booked. Not that we didn't believe Will, just so many things change that, like, if we were going to go through the trouble of getting Adam home and us staying, we wanted to know that it was for a purpose. So we waited for Hunter to get to the building in Columbus. It was about 1 o'clock. And right before he got there, I called my wife and told her what the possibility was and asked her to start looking up flights from Chicago home for me, Jasmine, and Brian. It was actually the first thought I had. And then when we got to talking about it, we said it would make a lot more sense to buy one ticket than three.
Yeah.
So we could put Adam on a flight and we could drive his bags home. We wouldn't have to pay for bags.
Yeah.
If as long as he didn't need anything, which he didn't. So that was our plan. So then when Hunter got there, Brian spoke to him and it was confirmed that we were booked against the Dogs for the dark match of the pay-per-view the next night. So I called my wife and I said, hey, could you start looking for flights? Well, Bird, who is the ring crew guy for Ring of Honor, smartened us up to this website called Jetlagged. And on Jetlagged, you can buy flights that have layovers in the towns you need to go to, which isn't illegal. You can just get off and never get on your connecting flight, and it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
So, like, let's say instead of taking a flight from Columbus to Philly, Adam was technically taking a flight from Columbus to Toronto, but he would just get off in Philly at the connecting and then never get back on.
And as long as you only have a carry-on, it doesn't matter.
He didn't even need. I don't even think he took any back.
I took my wallet. And I took my phone charger.
And so we were talking. We got that. Well, in that, my wife calls me back and says, "Hey." And I'm doing ring crew at the time too, so I don't have time to be talking really.
Yeah.
My wife's like, "Hey, just want to let you know, I'm also going to fly out for the pay-per-view in Chicago. I already bought a ticket. All right, bye." And I'm like, I couldn't argue with her. Normally I would argue and be like, don't get on a plane by yourself. It's fucking pointless. Buy it on pay-per-view. Like,
also, I still set up the ring knowing that I'm like leaving and not getting anything out of this.
Oh yeah, Adam's definitely part. He was right there with us the whole time. Like,
guy.
I'm
not saying it to say a nice guy.
That's how he is.
No, I'm just saying that's just the person you are.
No, just in case for those people out there who listen to this who may have been there and just didn't notice. I hustled.
Yeah, and I mean, so Adam did his thing until it was time to take him to the airport. We dropped him off at the airport.
I literally leave with nothing.
Which, like, man, that alone, like, how many people would have made that hard on us? Would have made it a problem? Would have made us feel bad? Would have said, no, I need to take the van home. You guys buy the flights. Like, he just did what was best for all of us and didn't question it. And that goes
I had to get
so
an Uber
long
home
away.
because
He didn't have a way.
I didn't. Because we drove. So what
what did this look like for you, man? Please.
So I it's funny. I leave the van, and even Rhett was just like, "Wow, like, you sure you're gonna be all right, dude?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good. I just have my hoodie on and my wallet, my phone, and my charger, and I'm gonna and my keys to get in my house.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna figure this out. Whatever." So I literally just go to the airport with this ticket with nothing, no bags, no nothing. They pat me down at security, which was funny.
Which, real quick, the ticket, we actually spent, like, so we got paid to work for Ring of Honor and to wrestle, obviously. That pay for all three of us, me, Jasmine, and Brian, was literally pooled to buy Adam's plane ticket. So we literally worked to keep working.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, that sucks that you guys didn't get to.
No. Like, that's what this is. Like, when people say, like, I'll do whatever it takes, like, well, part of it's just like that's part of it. Like,
Sacrifice, yeah.
You know, like, and you shouldn't have paid for your own ticket. That was for all of us. So I'm glad that we were able to buy that ticket, because if we weren't, I couldn't have justified you leaving.
Yeah.
That, you know what I mean? That's what makes it a team thing.
Yeah. So I they pat down my shoulders, and they're like, "Oh, we just have to like double check you were in this hoodie." And I thought that was funny that they thought my shoulders were so jacked that they wanted to make sure I wasn't hiding any weapons.
I thought he was carrying 2 bombs, like boom boxes, you know.
And then I took a flight. The only thing that sucked was the flight wasn't directly to Philly. Otherwise, it would have been like a short day for me. It was like a connecting. So like I had to go to South Carolina and then hop on a connecting flight back to Philly.
Oh wow! I thought it was a connecting flight, but your first stop was Philly.
No.
Oh wow!
So this was like
sucks.
it was.
I didn't even know that.
It was a longer trip for me. So
Holy shit!
Yeah, because I left in the middle of the day. I didn't get back home till like late because
Wow.
I had to go to South Carolina and then take a flight from South Carolina to Philly instead of just like across, which would have been like a few hours,
Yeah.
if that. And then I got an Uber. Oh, I got an Uber to Bristol where my car was, and then took the Uber from Bristol. Then took my car home.
From Bristol to
Oh, that's
your
right.
house.
That's where you all met. That's where
We
all
met at
up.
Right.
the dojo.
So yeah, it was a long. That was a long Saturday, and then so then we'll pick up on Sunday. You guys are in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so
You guys left Pittsburgh. You're going to.
So we're leaving
Columbus. You live Columbus, right?
So we actually, instead of leaving Columbus and going straight to Chicago, I made the suggestion. It was me, Brian, Jasmine, and I want to say FR Josie stayed with us as well. We stayed in Columbus Saturday night rather than drive straight to Chicago, and then we woke up at 5 and drove the 4 hours to Chicago to get there by 9 because I wanted to sleep, then drive in the sun.
Yeah.
I was tired of driving in the dark at that point. We had been driving in the dark since Wednesday. I just wanted to drive in the sunlight.
Yeah.
So we did that. We got to Chicago at 9, and when we got to Chicago, the local help was a big pool of students from Beer City Bruisers, a school in Milwaukee. Well, they were told to look for Berger when they get there. Well, Berger wasn't. This was, I think, the first time Berger was on the roster bus. So he didn't get there till 1 or 2.
Yeah.
So all of the setup, these kids didn't touch a thing. So it was like me, Brian, Jazz, a handful of people from Monster Factory, Shaheem, there was like 11 people setting up. Now the biggest part of the production, this is the biggest venue.
Yeah.
This is the iPay-per-view. I had to build, me and Mike Dobbs, a guy who wrestled all over locally, we built the entire stage with the LED boards, like just me and him. I was exhausted by the time 2 o'clock rolled around. And I'm anxious because my wife is on a plane. She's keeping in touch with me through like Snapchat and shit. Like, hey, I'm at the airport. Hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
And this is all happening so fast. Like 6 days ago, I was like, there's no room for us on this card.
Yeah.
Now I've wrestled once. They're told they liked what we saw. And we're on pay-per-view now tonight in the dark of this venue that's huge. And so we finish setting up. And Brian comes back from wherever he was, the gym, I guess, with Rhett. And my wife calls me. It was about 4 o'clock. The dark match goes on at 5:30. My wife calls me about 4 o'clock. She says, I landed. Now, her plan was to go to the dark match at 5:30, get on her return flight, which boarded at 9:45, and go home and go to work the next Monday because she had to work. So that happens, and I start to get, we're finishing up. We're rounding everybody up before like assigning extras. We're assigning extras, and then we're gonna get ready to open doors, and then it's time to start getting dressed, and then dark match.
Yeah.
Well, during that time frame of rounding up the extras, Will and Rhett called me and Brian into the like room they were getting changed. They go, all right, good news, bad news. I'm like, all right, great. What? My wife's here. I'm thinking we're off the card.
Yeah.
Like shit, man. So they go, bad news. We got cut from 10 minutes to 5 minutes. And I'm thinking, all right, I have no energy anyway because I've been 6 days straight when I was sleeping building things. But then they go, the bad news or the good news is we got bumped up from the dark to the main card. And I was like, oh shit, like this is even cooler now. And then about 3 minutes later, I stopped in my tracks and went, fuck, my wife's gonna have to leave before we go on. Like I'm gonna have to call her and tell her now. So I stepped outside, I called her, I'm like, hey, where are you? She's like, I'm in line wrapped around this building to get in. I was like, all right, well, you're going to have to figure out a different flight if you're going to stay. And she's like, what? And so I explained to her that we're not the dark. We're now on the card. We're not going on until like 9:30. You're not going to make that 9:45 flight. So she's on her phone in line waiting. She scrambles, finds a 5:30 a.m. flight for the next morning. So she buys that ticket. She cancels her ticket. She's like, we'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. I'm like, all right, whatever. We'll figure it out. So I go back in. I start getting ready. We go over the match. I'm not worried about it at all. I felt like, I could have this match in my sleep at this point. We get dressed. We hit Gorilla. So we were the first match after intermission. So essentially a dark, but we were going to be on the live feed. Like they were coming back to us.
I bought the pay-per-view at home just to watch them do this.
That's so awesome. And like I got to call a lot of my friends. Like I always say it's the best weekend of my life. I remember during the day, Dobbs had on his phone because it was a Sunday. Football was on, and it was the week that the Vikings broke Aaron Rodgers' collarbone. So I was ecstatic. This is like the greatest weekend of my life. 'Cause I hate the Packers, and to watch their best player get hurt while I'm about to debut on iPay-per-view, like, man, this is the greatest weekend of my life. I watched it with Silas Young, who's like a big Packers fan, so I just kind of kept my mouth shut, but on the inside, I was like, this is great. So we get dressed, man, we go up to Gorilla, and Prince Nana's on the headset in Gorilla, and while they're playing the intermission music, I can tell it's not changing. It was the intermission music, like the song had not changed.
Yeah.
And we were told by production and Bobby Cruz, who's the ring announcer, like, you're getting a full entrance. So like, all right, cool, we're getting a full entrance. Like, we're not in the ring already. Like, so Nana starts screaming, go, go, go. And I'm like, this isn't right. The song hasn't changed. Like, we're still at intermission. We're probably 20 seconds away from going back live.
Yeah.
And he's screaming, go. And I'm like, how do I not go? Like, this is my first time. I have to go.
Yeah.
So we went and we interrupted the, like, intermission coming back. Ian Riccaboni, who's an incredible, like, commentator, he covers it up. He's like, people take opportunity and these guys are here to take their opportunity. So he covered it up, but we shouldn't have gone. So we went early.
Yeah.
And then we had the match. The match went fine. It was crazy for me, man, because I got into wrestling to see like big crowds like that. Like that's what I've always wanted. And when we hit the stage, like there was so many people in front of us. Like there was just so many people before I walked off that stage down the ramp to the ring. It was exactly what I like wanted out of my, like, why I became a wrestler. So like for me that was huge. Like knowing my friend like Angelo was home watching it on his computer. Adam Galt, who's like one of Brian's like friends from childhood, and he's a great ref. He sent me pictures of like the TV in his living room with us on it. Like that was the moment where I realized like, wow, like this is, in a sense for me, a guy who's under 6 feet, a guy who's got a body like mine, like this might be the biggest company I work for. I might not ever work for WWE. So like this is crazy for me. And yeah, man, we had the match. It was cool. Kazarian gave me a critique like right after. He was one of the coolest people at Ring of Honor to me. We got undressed and we did a little bit with Jay Briscoe after our match, which was cool. The Briscoes are like some of my favorite people I've ever met in wrestling. If you tell me I can have dinner with like 2 people in wrestling, I might pick the Briscoes. It would be a blast. But yeah, like it was cool. We then got changed. We broke down. We didn't leave Chicago till about 3 a.m. Dobbs, who I commented on earlier, was driving home and he blew our fucking tire out at 2 a.m. We waited until 6 a.m. to get a donut on, but then we had to fucking drive to another Enterprise because you can't drive on a donut from Chicago to Philly. Yeah. We got to that Enterprise. We got a new rental. The rental guy, like, at the gate that lets you out, I'll never forget this. He was, like, giving a shit about, like, leaving, like, because we didn't have some piece of paper. And I said from the backseat at this point, because I'm now 4 hours delayed and everything, I spoke up. I said, if you don't open that fucking gate, I swear to God, if you're ever in Philadelphia, I'll find a way to make your life hell. And then he opened the gate shortly thereafter. And we made it home probably, like, 10, 11 o'clock Monday. It was a 13-hour drive. I drove the last 10 hours of that drive myself. I told them if they can get me to the sun, I can get us home. So they drove from probably 6 till about like 7:30, 8 o'clock. We stopped off. We got some food at like a rest stop. And then Dobbs stayed in the front seat with me, and he kept me going every hour. He kept me, he would rotate clothing to keep himself fresh. And I got us all the way home that way. So, like, that was a hell of a long trip. But, I mean, I got to see, also to speak to my wife, who's, like, probably the biggest rock star, more than I am from this whole trip.
Can I just cut in and say, everyone was talking about on the Love episode about how Justin Puss was going to be the one that shows up all the husbands and boyfriends. Your wife has a very strong case for showing up all the wives and girlfriends.
Oh, yeah, no.
That is a baller move, man.
Danielle's the best. It was crazy, like, this is when I first met her. I met her because she was a wrestling fan. When she was in high school, wanted to be a wrestler. Like, she looked into schools in Atlanta, like colleges, because she was going to go train down at I think Booker T had a school down there at the time before he moved to Houston. Yeah. Like, that was her plan. So to live this experience and her drive out there, fly out to Chicago, and like after the match, she came to the back of the building, and like I got to see her for the first time in 6 days, which was incredible, right after she had just seen me, Brian, and Jazz, who she watched us wrestle at OTW in front of 4 people, the 3 of us, and for us to then be there in front of 4,000, it was like, holy shit, man, this is like exactly what the wrestling life is about. It's like going from those extreme lows to these extreme highs. Shout out to Bird, man. Like, Bird, he made it a point to say, take the van. You guys have done a lot for me this weekend. Me and Danielle went to like a Buffalo Wild Wings in Chicago. We had dinner at like 11 o'clock at night. I came back with the van at like 1, and then we left. Like, I dropped Danielle off at the airport. She stayed at the airport from 1 a.m. till that 5:30 flight, and she just kind of like waited it out. And then she ended up taking off work Monday, and I met her at home Monday night. It was crazy, crazy trip, but it was by far the best week of my life. Like, and again, as Adam said, it really, encapsulates what our friendship was at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a 4-person team through and through.
Oh yeah, man, and all of us, like, everything we did during that time frame was really together in a collective deal. Like, there was a couple times one time I forgot my debit card at home, and Jasmine covered me the entire trip. Like, we really took care of each other as best we could. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, what about outside of wrestling? Do you guys have any big like vacation trips or anything that was like a...
No, I mean, I take trips with Ash to Virginia Beach every so often to see her family, but nothing... I don't have like a big one outside of wrestling. Wrestling's probably the bulk of my road trip experiences, and I guess at least in recent memory, like Justin said, over that past year that we were doing stuff with Ring of Honor, that was where the bulk of a lot of our road trips happened, and we had some good ones. I mean, we had... Just to summarize, because I don't want to take up too much more time, but we had a 2-day in Massachusetts once where Brian thought he had bug beds or something.
Yeah, like bed bugs. Brian got bed bugs in Lowell, Massachusetts from what was it, like a Days Inn or something? Like,
it was like a Days Inn, and that was the same weekend that.
Well, we're never getting that sponsorship.
Oh, good. They have fucking bed bugs.
Yeah. That's the same weekend where Jasmine was talking about how hungry she was.
Oh my god, yeah, Jasmine.
So Jasmine kept saying how hungry she was, and so we're trying to figure out where to go. And this girl loves Wendy's, but there's not a Wendy's to be found.
And by loves, like more than the kid who loves Lost. That's Pat's friend.
Yes,
definitely.
So we decide to go to Applebee's for her because she also likes to drink Yes, drink.
Oh yeah, Jasmine's the best on the road. Like if you ever have like, I feel like getting a drink, you have a friend.
Yeah. So we go to Applebee's, and no one else wants to spend money on food. We all brought like our own food, including myself.
Yeah, even
So,
me.
We're sitting there at the bar, and the three of us order, myself, Brian, and Justin order waters, while Jasmine gets an actual drink. And then
Like a margarita.
I decide, well, I don't want us to be all sitting here not eating while she's the only one eating, and like just like hanging out here. I'll get food too. So I order like something that fits within my diet. It was like some steak and veggies or something like that. And then Jasmine, which I don't realize at the time, orders mozzarella sticks. Mind you, this girl has been complaining about being hungry for the past like hour and a half.
Yeah, like the whole drive, like she was just, can we stop somewhere? I'm hungry. Yeah, like annoying a little bit.
Yeah. So she gets mozzarella sticks. I get my food. I eat all my food. And then she wants to box her food up. And I look down, and there are 3 out of 4 mozzarella sticks still remaining. So I just lose my shit here.
Yeah, this might be one of the few times Adam like yelled at Jasmine.
Yeah, jokingly, but still
Yeah,
yelled.
but like raised his voice like, I can't believe you made us stop.
To eat a single mozzarella stick.
You could eat 1 mozzarella stick.
You know she really stopped so she can get that drink. That had to be it.
And the whole reason why I was upset was because, like I said, I didn't need to buy food. Like, I had food.
Yeah.
Right, you did it so that she didn't look like an asshole, and in turn, she made you look like the asshole.
Or the rest of us, because I didn't want us, like, kind of just loitering, not really paying for anything, while we're just there for her to eat a mozzarella stick and drink.
While we're on the Jasmine bashing train, there was another road trip me and Adam took. We went, it was the 4 of us again. We were in Hazleton. And the next day, Adam and I had to go to MetLife Stadium. We were promoting for D2W. They had a partnership with Easter Seals for like an autism walk. So it was really cool. Like they had mine and Adam's picture on like the scoreboard and shit.
Yeah, it was cool.
Among other people, but like really, really cool. Well, we had a Hazleton show on a Friday, and we needed to be at MetLife Saturday morning, and then we also had an OTW night show that Saturday night. Jasmine, who has stayed at my house, what would you estimate it at? Probably over 50 times now.
Yeah, it's...
Jasmine everyone stays at my house all the time. I don't mind, but everyone has crashed at my house at some point if you've been on a road trip. We get to Jasmine's house, and it's like 3 a.m, and we might have even been coming back from somewhere further, so I apologize if I'm wrong about that.
It was Hazleton. We just stayed late to hang out with the dude that runs it.
So we get back to Jasmine's, and we're like, yo, Jazz, can we crash on the couches for like 4 hours because we're going up to MetLife the next morning, and like it's far. Like from my house, it's closer to her house. She said no. Like she wouldn't let us stay there.
First of all, she said, make yourselves comfortable.
First thing she did say was make yourselves comfortable, which we started to. Yeah. Then she says, oh, guys, you can't. Like, how did she put it? Because I blacked out in anger after this.
She was like, oh, okay, so I'll see you guys. And I was just like, hey, like, do you mind if we just, like, crash, like, for a little bit? Just because, like, we're exhausted. And we got to get to MetLife the next day.
And we have to go do a show right after MetLife. It's a long day.
And then she was like, no, you guys can't really stay. And I was just like, wait, seriously? You just like told us to get comfortable?
Like I thought she was fucking with us.
Yeah.
And she wasn't. We left. We went back to my house. We crashed. We got like 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah. We got 2 hours of sleep. Went to MetLife,
which was fun.
Yeah, which was awesome. Did that. Went back to Justin's. Crashed for like another 2 hours, and then went to OTW and just like we tore it up that night. That was triple threat with Eddie.
Yeah, we had Eddie Hawkins. And it was a blast, but yeah, that was like another one of those road trips where like one little thing's like, God damn it, fuck, and throws everything else off. Outside of wrestling, like I used to go on a lot of road trips with my grandparents as a kid, like so like I've always enjoyed being in a car. I can drive anywhere and I'll have a blast. But nothing particular, man. Like I said, I travel with my wife a lot. We've been to. I saw Survivor Series in Boston once, and this was really cool. I didn't know this. In Boston, if you're not 25 and you have an out-of-state license, you can't buy alcohol. So, like, I was 23 at the time, and I had a New Jersey license. So, since I wasn't 25 and in-state, they wouldn't sell us alcohol.
Oh, wow.
So, luckily, I mean, I don't know who the guy was, but the person next to us was in the military, and he was also from New Jersey. So, like, we offered to buy all the beers because with his military ID, they would sell them 4 at a time.
Yeah.
So we bought all the beers all night, and he went and retrieved them for us. And it was a nice little partnership, so that was fun. But we always try to find... I'm very talkative. I make friends everywhere I go.
You do. That's true.
So, like, yeah, I really like traveling. Traveling's fun.
I appreciate that. I didn't realize that was the thing in Boston, but then I remembered the last time I was in Boston was for my friend's wedding, and I was 25 at the time, so they would.
Yeah, TD Garden will not sell you. We went for Survivor Series, and they will not sell you alcohol if you're under 25 and out of state.
That's okay. That's
maybe they're just too fucking stupid in Boston to realize what a fake ID is.
just shitting on what was it?
What?
That was the Virginia police first.
Oh, Dinwiddie? Fuck Dinwiddie too.
And now fuck Boston apparently as well.
Yeah.
I did glaze over on one thing, and not glaze over. I did finally think of something. It wasn't a bad road trip. The very first time I went down to Disney with my family, we drove. When I was younger, we pretty much drove everywhere. We didn't fly. We flew like maybe once or twice. For the most part, we drove no matter where we were going. But the very first time I went down to Disney was when the song "Hey Ya" by Outkast was incredibly popular. Mm-hmm. So it played a million times on the way down, and then every night we'd go to bed watching Jackass on MTV. Not that my mom would be happy knowing that. So then when we woke up in the morning, I'd turn the TV back on, and it would be the music videos. I don't even know if MTV still does that, but they would do the morning music videos. And every time we turned on the TV, it was the Hey Ya music video. And then on the entire drive back...
It's got to be an exaggeration, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, but... The entire drive back, nothing but Hey Ya. So by the time I was done with this trip, I had a super fun time on the trip. By the time I was done with the trip, I was done with the song Hey Ya. I did not want to hear it anymore.
So, if
karaoke.
Favorite song had one, you would have chosen Hey Ya?
Yeah, totally. Oh my
Karaoke
God.
request.
Hey Ya.
This is not a karaoke request.
Patapalooza.
That's my request.
Damn it.
Send your request.
You know I'm not going to turn down your request.
Of course.
It was that. Oh, there's another trip too. When I was visiting my uncle in Tennessee, this was earlier. This was like a couple years before this, but the song "Torn" by Natalie, whatever her face is.
I don't know. I'm drawing a blank on. I don't know what song you're talking about.
It's the one where she's like talking about lying naked on the floor. I'm a lot of faith.
Oh yeah, I know what song you're talking about.
It's like very
Just
mighty.
tell them that to make them feel better.
No, I do.
Maybe there's always a chance.
I'm not going to sing it, but Pat will.
That was the same thing. The entire trip down and the entire trip back, that song played on repeat.
Sing that song for Adam real quick so that he knows what you're
I don't know enough of it.
We'll try.
You obviously heard it a lot.
I did hear it a lot, but I don't know.
He's embarrassed. He doesn't want to sing.
No,
it's okay. Next week.
I also can't sing either.
Look it up.
Look it up.
Practice. The next episode, Pat will sing "Torn."
Yeah, it's going to be a preview.
Just a little snippet. How about just the chorus for the next episode? That's what we'll do. You get the chorus down.
I have to learn the chorus of "Torn," the 1990s hit song by Natalie.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, cool. There we go.
Just to give you guys a taste.
I was gonna say you're actually gonna give in to this.
Give a taste.
Yeah.
Or actually, this isn't giving in for you. This is like
this is a preview. This is to see how much people really want it. You've been wrestling with life.
We're just gonna let you have the tagline. We're just gonna finish it there.
I mean, I probably said it better.
Wow, couldn't let him get the last word.
As good as it could have. I mean, yeah. What are you? Go ahead, do it better.
Well, now see, now the pressure's on me. Sitting here smiling like a goofball with your New York Yankees hat.
Yeah. That's exactly. If you drew a picture of me, you would draw me in this: jeans, a colored T-shirt, and a Yankee hat.
That's fair.
Sometimes you would rotate the Vikings hat in.
Tweet us at WWL on Podomatic and use the hashtag Patapalooza 2020 and give us your song requests, please.
And there's no wrong way to spell Patapalooza.
Yeah,
just try.
Yeah, we don't really care all that much about how you spell it. But, I mean, I would assume it's a Patapolza.
I agree. I think some of our listeners might throw a U instead of 2 O's. Because they're Pat's friends.
Oh.
And you think my friends like what? European
don't know how to
something?
spell.
Oh, don't know how to spell? Okay. That was the joke. My friends are idiots, apparently.
Well, they chose you as a friend, so I already think they have poor judging character.
Yeah, no one said that they were idiots. You said
that. I may have implied it, but I imply a lot of things.
We apologize.
Yes,
Pat's
changing
friends on
clothes is what
behalf
that was a
of
good
Pat.
way. Implying
for
something.
calling you idiots and not wanting to go on a road trip with one of his alleged best friends.
Lon.
This one goes out to you.
Yes. Thank you, Lon. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And you have been wrestling with life.